In 2014, I was going through what we millennials like to call a quarter-life crisis. I was 25, and at the time had just moved back in with my parents. 2 years prior, I'd graduated into a precarious job market in an even more precarious field of work. I was struggling to find stable and fulfilling employment that actually paid a living wage, and I was beginning to question a lot of things in my life. In short, I was in a really unhappy place. Spoiler alert, this wouldn't be the last time I dealt with these existential questions. In fact, it's kind of become a bit of a theme in my life. More on that later. But having moved 5 times in 6 years, I now had to confront a lot of the stuff that I was hauling around with me, as well as the stuff I had left behind at my parents' home. I'd worked in retail for several years and had a bit of a shopping addiction, so I'd accumulated a lot of clothes and other items. This is when I first turned to minimalism as a way to deal with the clutter and try to make more sense of my life. 10 years later, minimalism is still present in almost every aspect of my life. Without exaggeration, it's been life-changing for me. So I want to share my experience and what I've learned along the way. Here are the 10 things I've learned from 10 years of minimalism. But first, what is minimalism? Minimalism has lots of different definitions. It can refer to art and design, music, but in this context, I am talking about minimalism as a lifestyle and philosophy. The idea that we're often happier with fewer things. We can lead more fulfilling lives with less stuff. The minimalists.com website defines minimalism as a tool to rid yourself of life's excess in favor of focusing on what's important, so you can find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. Okay, so now that we've got the definition out of the way, here are the 10 things I've learned from 10 years of minimalism. Number 1, minimalism often goes hand in hand with confronting the other things we're unhappy about in our life. Our shopping habits and the stuff we own is so wrapped up in our mental health, I'd say the two are inseparable. For me, minimalism also started the process of seeking therapy, and I'll have more on that in an upcoming video. But that quarter-life crisis for me was actually the first of several crises that can now be viewed as a bigger push coming from within me to make changes in my life instead of staying unhappy and unfulfilled. Number 2, minimalism is a long, ongoing process. You don't just purge once and you're done. It's kind of like therapy that way. It's about changing your relationship with consumption and how you deal with stress, boredom, and any emotions, positive or negative. It's about confronting an idea you had of yourself and who you're trying to be versus who you really want to be, creating an authentic and values-based life instead of a materialistic and goals-focused life. Not that goals are a bad thing. Goals are great in partnership with values. But if you're only chasing goals and things without stopping to ask yourself why, you're going to be basically stuck on a hamster wheel for the rest of your life. Number 3, you're going to start asking why a lot, along with other questions. Why did I buy this? Why am I keeping it? Why do I think I need something? Why am I doing this? What is it that I really want? I recently listened to an episode of the Mel Robbins podcast that actually uses this method. It was called How to Figure Out What You Really Want. And she uses a method called the 5 whys. So when someone thinks they want a big dream house, a dream car, a big life change of any kind, you start asking yourself, why? Why? Until you get to the deeper need or desire that's driving that.
Why?
We should try it right now. I want to move to a new city.
Why?
Because I'm bored with where I'm living right now. I want something new.
Why?
Because I'm seeking adventure and freedom.
Why?
Because I haven't really had that in my life. I've led a really controlled and safe life to this point.
Why?
Because I'm afraid. And I don't want to be afraid anymore. Goes like that. Anyway, I'll link to the episode below in the description, and I recommend giving it a listen, along with other Mel Robbins episodes. She's fantastic. Number 4, it's better to declutter regularly than in big bursts, although starting with a big purge can really help get the ball rolling for some people. A big minimalist declutter often starts in the wardrobe for people and then spreads out to other areas. That's definitely where it started for me. But the big thing is that small actions make a difference over time, and it's about progress over perfection. So sometimes people will start with a no-buy challenge for 90 days or even up to a year. But the main thing is that it's small incremental lifestyle changes, not a huge dramatic shift. That way, you're able to maintain it and actually adopt it as a part of your lifestyle. Number 5, it's important to find new hobbies that will replace that shopping addiction. Ideally, low-cost hobbies that don't involve buying a whole bunch of new stuff. Some ideas for low-cost, low-barrier hobbies are gardening, hiking, cooking, baking, joining a book club. Book clubs are back. Dance lessons, salsa, tango, square dance, bachata. If you spent a lot of your free time shopping, it's important to replace that with something else. Otherwise, you're going to keep returning to that urge to shop as a way to self-soothe. Minimalism is about valuing experiences over things. So finding hobbies to replace our shopping addiction challenges us to learn more about ourselves and grow rather than chasing an idea of ourselves and looking for things to try and externally validate that idea. Returning inward rather than outward for validation. Number 6, there's no set number of items or things you need to reduce to when it comes to minimalism. When I first started watching videos about minimalism on YouTube and elsewhere, it kind of felt a little competitive. People boasting about the number of items in their wardrobe, how much they'd reduce to, all the things they're living without. But I've come to realize there really are no rules to minimalism. The main goal is to just find your own way to reduce and cut back. And this extreme minimalism is unrealistic for most people's lifestyles. So forget about the numbers and just focus on your own progress and your own values to create an authentic minimalist lifestyle that works for you. Number 7, just like there's no specific number of items you need to own, there are no specific items you need to buy to take part in minimalism. The biggest change is to just buy less. Quality over quantity, using things up, wearing it out, making do with what you have, doing without. You have to become really aware of greenwashing in marketing. A lot of companies kind of jump on the minimalist bandwagon and will try to sell you stuff that seem like minimalist essentials. Bamboo toothbrushes and a specific kind of water bottle, but that's completely opposite to what minimalism is really about. It's about resisting that kind of stuff and realizing that we don't need a specific item. Number 8, minimalism doesn't need to look a specific way. If you search minimalism on Google or any social media platform, it's often portrayed as white, open spaces, neutral tones, sparse rooms. I definitely felt the pressure early on when I was incorporating minimalism in my life to adopt that kind of aesthetic, both in my wardrobe and in my home. But it kind of made me feel sad. It wasn't really me. And minimalism is about getting more in tune with your actual needs and values and desires and becoming less influenced by external forces. And I've come to really love maximal minimalism as a happy medium for me, both in my home decor and in my wardrobe. I love color, I love patterns, but I also love the simplicity of minimalism. Number 9, minimalism can go too far. That's when you find yourself in the realm of austerity, self-sacrificing, underconsumption, and potentially adopting a bit of a scarcity mindset. Underconsumption core was recently trending on social media. You might have seen videos on places like TikTok. It's an understandable backlash to a world that feels like it's constantly trying to sell us stuff, that overconsumption. But like everything else in life, it's about nuance. And minimalism exists on a spectrum. And part of the journey is finding the balance and what works for you. That's truer to the minimalist philosophy than going to the extreme of scarcity and underconsumption. And finally, number 10, minimalism can sometimes seem at odds with sustainability. It can feel like we're just getting rid of stuff instead of finding new ways to use it, upcycle it, or rehome it mindfully. You don't want to fall into the trap of purging all your stuff and then making it someone else's problem. Thrift stores are already overloaded with all of our things. We have too much stuff. So be aware of your compulsion to get rid of your stuff just as much as your compulsion to keep it or buy new things. And again, come back to the why. You don't want to purge so much that you end up resorting to buying a bunch of new stuff. The main thing is not how many items you own, what you own, or how much you've gotten rid of. It's about breaking that shopping addiction and those habits that keep us clinging to those external forces and the desire to have certain things to make us feel a certain way. Minimalism might not be for everyone, but I firmly believe everyone can benefit from some aspect of it. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment letting me know your thoughts on minimalism or your experience with it. I'm a recovering shopping addict turned minimalist with a passion for slow fashion and slow living. I make videos about sustainable style and video essays like this one. If you're interested in those things and you want to see more of this type of content, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope to see you back here soon. Bye.